Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner Classics / Non-Classics. This is episode number 1581 and Doubleshot number 1475. We're discussing one trade and the final 6 issues of a series. First up it is Ultimates. Well, The Ultimates by Al Ewing. The complete collection. And it definitely does mean it. This is the entire run of Al Ewing's time on the Ultimates. Yes, this book contains Avengers number 0, Ultimates number 1 through 12, and Ultimates 2, 1 through 9, and 100. I'll explain that. Avengers 0 basically is the setup and debut of the 616 version of Thunderbolts. Yep. Now I should point something out about the Ultimates, is that they have this lineup that they have, and the lineup never changes. It's the same exact lineup the entire series. From what I can tell, nobody joins this particular group the whole period of time when the group is first formed. The group gets surprised of Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel, Monica Rambeau, aka Spectrum, the Blue Marvel, Adam Busher, the Black Panther, and American Chavez. Yep. Now, they're based out of the Triskelion, and you're thinking, wait, didn't the Ultimate Universe do the same thing too? Yes. My guess is Al Ewing was probably either when he was given the task of doing a 616 version of the Ultimates, he probably gave them that particular place as their base operations, just like the way the Ultimate Universe, because that's one thing they have in common. Now, unlike the Ultimate Universe version of the base, that one had 2 functions. It served as the main hub for S.H.I.E.L.D., and it was the primary base of the Ultimates. The 616 version has 3 functions to it. There's like 3 sections of the island. The one section is dedicated to the ground crew of the Alpha Flight space program. Another is the headquarters of the Ultimates. And the third and last one is basically, get this, the Wakandan Embassy. Yep, because Black Panther is part of the team. So of course you have the Wakandan Embassy here. Despite the fact he already has an embassy in the city already, why the heck base in Triskelion for? I don't know. So, the Ultimates are basically problem solvers. That's pretty much the best way to describe them. That's what their job is, problem solvers. They solve stuff on a cosmic level. And in the very first 2 issues, the very first thing they decided to do was to make Galactus the Devourer of Worlds. Have him devour, do something with Galactus. Now, this is the most original thing anybody's ever done with Galactus to date. They have him eat his own home planet, which turns him into this. The Lightbringer. Yep. Now, I should point out, though, yes, Al Ewing is the writer for this whole thing. But the artist, a lot of the time, for the original 12 issues, is mostly done by Keith Rackford. Yeah, he pretty much is the artist for most of this run, except for issue number 6. And 12. Yeah, 6 and 12 are the only 2 issues he doesn't do. That's done by Christian Ward. The relaunch is done initially by Chipper Former, who does the first 6 issues in issue 9. 7 and 8 is done by Alan Kutch. And 100, which I'll get to the reason for this existence, is done by Chipper Foreman, Philippe Andre, Marissa, and Scott Hanna. Now, after they churn Galactus into Lightbringer, they're contacted by the Sheer Empire, who are furious over this. And it is pointed out their reasoning for this. Now, it's pointed out that American Chavez, they're mad at the Ultimates because they thought of doing this first before they did. That's why they're mad. Yep. And, that was the first thing they had to do. And that was one thing Al Ewing wanted to do right away, was to solve the problem with Galactus. And here's a fun fact for you. How long did he stay as a Lightbringer? About 2 or 3 years. Not very long. Yeah, he didn't say this very long. No, he didn't. And then I think the next plan was to fix something Bendis did, which is basically try to fix the frickin' timeline. Yes, because Bendis practically broke the damn thing. Yes, after the events of... What was it? I think it was... I think it was Age of Apocalypse. Not Age of Apocalypse. Age of Ultron. Yeah, after he pretty much did that, he pretty much broke the timeline. That probably was his initial plan. So... And then pretty much they have to deal with the Anti-Man for the next 2 issues until Civil War II rears its ugly head into this run. Yes, about halfway through the run, we have to deal with Civil War II. Of course we have to. And pretty much, here's the thing. What they did during this whole event is like, okay, they get it. Apparently Carol Danvers got a vision from Ulysses. Yes, that this woman in this is carrying a briefcase, carrying a bomb. So they arrest her before they get to the place where she's supposed to go, and they open the briefcase, and there's nothing inside of it. Yeah. Wow, what a waste of time this is. And of course, American Chavez got enough of the nonsense related to Ulysses. So what she decided to do, take a desk chair and whack Carol Danvers with it and started basically a civil war within the Ultimates, practically break up the team. And also prior to this I thought was really interesting, and I thought this was really cool to have Al Ewing too. He pretty much he pretty much had Adam Busher, aka Blue Marvel, start a romantic relation with Monica Rambeau. Which, okay. By far, it is the first guy she's gotten involved with since Dr. Voodoo. Yes, the second air person. Except that he's like 20 years older than she is, but she's an adult. It's not really much of a big issue there. Yep, and then at the end of the volume, the Ultimates disband because of Civil War II. And then we have the start of the relaunch of the book. Yes, the relaunch, where where basically we have Black Panther and Captain Marvel just sitting down in a diner, just relaxing. And then they're summoned by, get this, American Chavez to basically form the Ultimates, with pretty much all the same roster. Yep, all the same roster, not really much big change there. If you're curious though, when did they go back to being the Devourer of Worlds? That happened, I kid you not, this actually happened roughly about, and you're going to think it's quite silly that this happened. This happened 3 years after, this happened during the Infinity Wars event. That's when he went back to being Devourer of Worlds, and he was around for another, not much longer after that when he became the Devourer, where he later died. Yeah, he was around again for another, couple years after as being the Devourer before he got killed by frickin' Thor. Yep. So with the relaunch, of course, at the end of the previous line, we had the debut of the Troubleshooters. Yes, they were supposed to be sort of an antagonistic team toward the Ultimates, but I kind of felt as though the rug is pulled underneath from Al Ewing, and then, of course, the Maker shows up in the series. Yes, the Maker. Well, he does something completely unexpected. He... apparently Al Ewing just got this idea from get this, from James Robinson. Yeah, bring back a team that no one has seen in years. Yeah, by the way, the Troubleshooters, yeah, they're fully dealt with by issue number, I think it was issue 8. Yeah, the storyline with them was pretty much wrapped up. Oh, and by the way, here's the thing. Toward the end of the volume, because of Civil War II, The previous one, the Triskeleton was heavily damaged. Excuse me. And because the Ultimates had to disband, they no longer used the base. So in the successor volume, their headquarters was Galactus' spaceship. Yep. Yeah, and then because some goo that basically Galactus got contact with, it briefly turned back to being the Devoured Worlds. But when he got cured of it, he pretty much went back to normal. Also, I've got to point this out, though. In issue 6 of the previous volume, something really unexpected happened with him. What was it, you might ask? Well, he went into a room. Yes, a room in this white void with the Eternal Watch, where he opens the door and he encounters the Molecule Man. Yes, the Molecule Man. Why the heck is the Molecule Man there? Because the Molecule Man was used as a battery to restart the actual multiverse. Yes, seriously. Now, there is something the Molecule Man has in common with Galactus. And you're thinking, what the heck does the Molecule Man have in common with Galactus? Well, actually, there's two things they have in common with each other. Number one, they both made a debut in the pages of Fantastic Four, obviously. And the other thing, and you might find this interesting though, same creators. Yep, Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. And because the troubleshooters in the next volume, because their involvement, somehow this brings about Ego. Yes, Ego's here. Just cuz. And he turns Ego Prime. It's kind of weird when it involves Ego. Yeah, the whole thing with Ego is just kind of bizarre to say the least. But at the end of the pendulum issue of this run, of this entire run, issue number... Well, then we have the Maker show up, and he's talking to the High Evolutionary on Counter Earth. Yes. And that's issue 8, mind you. So what does the Maker do, you might ask? Well, he summons a group of people who have not been seen together since Ultimatum. I bring you the Ultimates, the original lineup. Yes. Well, most of them anyways. There's no Hawkeye and Black Widow here, just Giant Man, Wasp, Captain America, Iron Man, and Hulk. The Wasp does look a little different drawn here. Yes, this is probably... But now, here's the thing. 3 of these characters have been dead for years. Wasp and Giant Man died in Ultimatum, and Captain America apparently died in Cataclysm, despite the fact they never found a body. Iron Man was never declared dead. He was still alive by the time the Ultiverse ended. Hulk, on the other hand, he was also still alive. He didn't do very much afterwards. Nope. Earlier. So, why are they here? To celebrate the 100th issue of The Ultimates. Yep, that's the reason why they're here, is to celebrate 100 issues of Ultimates. Now, you're probably thinking, how the heck do we have 100 issues of Ultimates? I do have a theory about this, that, well, you have the 3 Ultimate volumes. You have Ultimates 1, which is 13 issues. Second volume was also 13 issues. The third volume, which was 5 issues, that brings us into about... I think they're about 20, I think about 31. Yeah, 31 because Ultimates 3 was 5 issues. Then you have the 18 issues of Ultimate Comics. We have New Ultimates. That brought it to about 36. They probably also included Ultimate Comics New Avengers. So that was 18 issues right there. So that's roughly, let's see. Oh my god, seriously, Dad. You're really starting to irritate me. I'm going to be right back because I have a minor irritation to take care of. Excuse me. My apologies about that. Taken care of. I'm guessing at this. Let's see. 18 plus 31. That's roughly 67. Okay. The 12 issues of Ultimates 1. Actually, if you include the 20 issues of Ultimate Comics Ultimates. I mean, if you don't include Ultimate Comics Avengers, let's see. Well, if you include new Ultimates, Avengers New Ultimates, let's see. 6 plus, let's see, 37 plus 30. Yes, 30. That is 68 plus 12, it's 80. And I'm purely guessing at this. I probably also included all new Ultimates in this. So that's my personal guess of how they got to 100. Oh, and by the way, in this issue, like, we have the Ultimates of 616 fighting the Ultimate version of the Ultimates. Yes. Though for no reason, there's no Hawkeye and there's no Black Widow here. I'm like, did Al Ewing forget that those two were also part of this lineup when it was first formed back in Ultimates 2? So, the Maker decides to kill Ultimate Captain America because he dared disobey him even though he's the one who summoned him here. And then, like, gets away, and then, of course, the Ultimate just do their own thing. And the Maker just disappears. Oh, don't worry, he does return after this. And this stuff with the Eternity Watch basically have a meeting afterwards about what the heck has been going on here. And yeah, you have some trial going on. The Ultimates doing their own thing. And as for these Ultimates, they apparently disband and they all do their own thing, and that's how the thing ends. Yes, I kind of felt this though reading this now, and especially reading it back, I felt as though this book was kind of rushed. Yes. Now, why the heck this book got canceled? I have no idea why. To my knowledge, it's been about a good about 4 years since this book ended. Yeah. Yes, as far as I can tell, like I said, there has been no explained reason of why this book ended. It could be because of the frickin', I don't know. Well, the Ultimates did appear once after this. Yes, the 616 Ultimates, which are not active anymore. Nope. Let's see. What was their last official appearance to date? The last official appearance to date of the Ultimates. Well, let's see. They popped up in like Iron Man. It popped up like, well, I think like their last special appearance was in Avengers. Well, two of the members anyways. Yes, they popped up in the pages of Jason Aaron's Avengers a couple years ago, but yeah, this group has pretty much been disbanded. Because, like, next time they appear was in the second to last issue of Secret Empire, appearing issue of Mighty Captain Marvel, Generations, the Captain America one, 2 issues of Iron Man, few issues of Avengers. They popped up here and there. But mostly the Ultimates have been disbanded. They're not doing much with them. It almost seems as though that, reading this again, it just seems as though that Al Ewing had a bunch of ideas he wanted to do with the book, but he probably had a bunch of editorial interference, and probably because Bendis had a lot of pullback then, so he probably the book got canceled. Because Al Ewing dare fix something that Bendis broke. Yes, he tried to fix it and Bendis broke, and like Bendis like, oh no, you're not touching what I broke. You gotta leave it alone and do your own. You gotta do something else, or I'm gonna cancel your book. That is my personal guess of what happened back then. I don't know, because I've never met Al Ewing. So, if I get a chance to ask him, I'm going to ask him, what the heck happened with the Ultimates? It felt as though, like, a lot of things planned for this book, but the thing was rushed. Well, the story was rushed, the artwork wasn't. The artwork was really good. I give the whole trade itself a 9 out of 10. It's a good series, but I kind of felt as though the book should have lasted longer. Alright. Moving on to the last issue of a series to talk about. I talked about the first trade of this one a long time ago. But I have tried to get my hands on the second volume of this trade series. So no success. So, review the actual individual issues. So we're going to start with we're going to do issues 7 through 12 of the very first volume of Cyborg. Now, the thing with these issues is that this felt like a very good Cyborg run. Now, the first 3 issues in here, I'm talking about here, 7 through 9, are written by David Walker. Yes. Where we also have appearances here by Captain Marvel. Well, DC's Captain Marvel, Shazam. Yep. We also have a thing where he's like wanted. And I like this suit. And I will talk more about it when I get my final thoughts on this. So, we'll either be on the run. And of course, the Utah Loose end with that hologram version of his mother. Where, here's the thing. After issue 9, after basically that really gets dark with that, by issue 10, something really weird happens. Now, I remember the solicits when this book was coming out. This was about a few years ago. David Walker was solicited to be the writer for issues 10 and 11, and 12 was supposed to be done by Mark Wolfman. Something happened, I don't know what happened, but David Walker left the book with issue 9, and for the last 3 issues of this run, it is taken over by Marv Wolfman, one of the guys who co-created Cyborg. Why the heck did Marv Wolfman take over? I don't know. Yeah, it's a big mystery that I haven't. It's one of those things. Basically, I need to ask the writers what the heck happened, because this series abruptly changed writers. Like, for the last 6 issues, we changed writers halfway through the remaining issues. Or we wrap up the whole thing with the Cyborg's mother. And now you might be thinking, now the Metal Men have appeared in this series, but they don't really appear. It's mostly just Cyborg dealing with other stuff here. Right after he gets with the whole thing with his fake mother, and him waking up from his dream. And he also develops an ability to basically camouflage his own outfit with make it look normal. And of course, that basically, it seems like Marvel, and we just hear just to tie up loose ends. Yeah, that's what it seems like, though. Goes like cyberspace, and then we had the final issue of this run. Issue 12. You might notice, though, look at the cover, that it's gone to the current DC logo, the one they used to start a Rebirth. Yep, so Cyborg just deals with this threat here. We have guest appearances in these issues by the Justice League, and I gotta hand it, this actually is really good stuff by part of Marv Wolfman. I have to deal with these other people. And then the book just ends with this abrupt cliffhanger about this gem at the bottom of this lake and hit with this energy, and that's it. These definitely were good issues. I do have a couple of problems with them. Well, number one, the abrupt change of writers. And here's a big problem that I have. Because if anybody reads Cyborg, with the book I relaunched with Rebirth, for some strange reason, I have no idea why the heck this happened. But I'm hoping that John Stamp will explain this if I get a chance to meet him. Cyborg decided to no longer use like the look he had at the start of this run. This more slimmed down look that showed off his arms that basically kind of reminded me of the version of Cyborg from the Teen Titans TV show. That's what kind of reminded me of. And then with the relaunch, no, we have to basically disregard this look and go with the Jason Fabok look. The one where it's basically the... Now, when Cyborg first showed up in this continuity in issue 1 of Justice League, this is of course of volume 2, he had a big bulky look. And thanks to Grid, who by the way did pop up in the first issue of this run, they kind of basically got rid of that, and he got new body parts, well, new parts anyways, and he basically got a more slimmed down version of himself with the little red in the middle, and he pretty much maintained the look in the pages of Justice League. Like any appearance he appeared in, he had that look, except this book. And then when, of course, the book got relaunched for Rebirth, that look completely disappeared. No explanation, and it almost seems as though whoever was the editor of the book left and replaced with a completely different editor, because this book was really good under both David Walker and Marv Wolfman. They both did a terrific job with this book, and then they left and replaced with John Stampa Jr. Now, I have no problem with John Stampa Jr. The only problem I have with his run is they dragged up the same story for way too long. Dragged it out for 14 issues. Yeah, his little abrupt story on issue 2, and it didn't finally conclude into issue 16. And then get replaced by Marv Wolfman again, which the guy who replaced him felt like the guy was recovering the series enough, basically, because I'm thinking that possibly, that's just my theory, I think the book wasn't selling too well. That, of course, at the start of Rebirth, it was publishing twice a month, and then after the first story arc wrapped up, they switched it from twice a month to once a month. Don't know the reason for it. And then it felt as though that the arc in the book dragged even longer, and then I felt as though when the writer left, and the book got a lot better, and then the book got canceled, and a blinky missed the article. Can you believe this series started in 2015, and it wrapped up in 2017? And you're thinking, really? It did? Yes, it did. Yeah, for some reason, I'm not really sure why this is. Like, yeah, the successor volume only lasted just for a couple years. Yeah, it started in 2016 and 2015 and wrapped up, 2016 wrapped up in 2018. Yeah, when the series ended, despite the fact they still had more issues solicited, they just stopped the series. And as far as I know, there has been no explained reason. Like, it could be because the book wasn't selling too well. That's possible. But I kind of wish, though, they would have done something more with the book. And I really wish somebody would explain what the heck happened with this book, because it felt as though, like, we got the good stuff, we got some kind of bad stuff. I mean, Cyborg was definitely a character people will probably have wanted to see for an ongoing series for some time. We finally got it. Great book under Dave Walker, Marv Wolfman, and then John Stampa just did his thing with the book. But my overall final thoughts on this is that Cyborg is definitely a good series. The first volume is really good. I do recommend checking it out. Second volume is something else altogether. It's got good artwork. That's what they at least got praised for. The artwork was very consistent and fantastic of that run. The only problem I had with it was the storytelling. It felt as though the pacing was slow at best. The pacing was just that terrible. At least this book was good. Included, like, felt like it was part of the DC universe. Next volume didn't feel like that at all. Not really, no. But all in all, that's all I'm going to say about these two books. I mean, Ultimates was really good, so they say Issues of Cyborg. Okay, so that's it. I thought it was time to do 2 more comic corners, but I think I'll save this for tomorrow. Which, by the way, think of physical books, okay? I'll do this next video tomorrow. Bye.